because with the public domain stuff, it's like a double-edged sword, right? So you get the immediate like people recognize this, like you could some of it, like Scott's using really obscure stuff, but like there's a lot of stuff in there that I mean, if you could just Google it, there's like Zorro, I think, is a public domain character now.
I think Zorro actually you might have to license from somebody.
Oh, you do?
Zorro's public domain. However, with some of these characters, and Zorro in particular is a great example. There are companies that have trademarked so many things with Zorro that
it's hard to find an original.
Their business is basically suing people for using Zorro.
Gotcha.
So like there's people that do the same with Sherlock Holmes. Like there's a big thing with that movie Enola Holmes on Netflix where they sued the movie people because they were like, oh, elements of that are from stories that aren't in the public domain. So they basically just try to make money by suing people for trademark infringement. And there's certain characters that are so tied up with trademark issues that like Captain Marvel, Shazam, all of those characters are public domain. So Captain Marvel, the original, you can use, but you clearly, you can't call him Captain Marvel because Marvel has the trademark. And so it gets really dicey to use them.
At least with Marvel and DC, the rules. You cannot use them.
Yeah.
Well, next year we're going to be able to use Superman, or at least a very early iteration of Superman.
Oh, so really?
That's going to be fun in the modern era.
Oh, can you imagine DC Lord
how that's going to go?
Their knives right now.
Yeah, I mean, Mickey Mouse is coming into public domain next year, but it has to be the version from Steamboat Willie, and the trademarks are so over the top with Disney. It'd be curious.
It's gonna be hard.
Tries it, but like for instance, the Hardy Boys are in the public domain, and so I'm definitely going to be using. They just came in last month.
Sounded like right up your alley. I was about to
say.
I'm
going to be using the Hardy Boys in the next issue. However, it's only the first 2 books in the public domain; the rest aren't. And the company still has a trademark, so I can't call them the Hardy Boys on the cover. Like I can't advertise the Hardy Boys are in this issue. They can appear inside. But I can't use the trademark. So it gets really dicey.
Yeah, see, like that's a stuff I kind of have a basic understanding of, which is interesting to me, like what you can use and like something with like Project Superpowers, like we were just talking about with Dynamite, like so they did like their version of the Black Terror and like Green Llama. So if one of us wanted to like write a Green Llama comic, we can't do their version now, right?
Yeah. So whatever they did is copyrighted, like their story elements, but you can go back to the original. There's whole groups like online that are just dedicated to the public domain superheroes, and you learn all sorts of things. Like those 2 examples in particular, there's been a lot of research on them, and technically the Black Terror is actually not public domain. Someone does have the copyright, but it's been used so many times without being enforced that it's considered to be orphaned.
Gotcha.
And
so no one's really
someone actually has the copyright to that too, but they have actually said it's okay to use the Green Llama. So that's again is sort of like a Creative Commons sort of thing.
I was just gonna say, didn't Ben Edlund use the Terror in The Tick?
Well, I don't know if he was called the Terror, but he wasn't called
the Black Terror. Or because I thought he was just an old version of the Terror. Like his costume even looked like the same.
Could correctly. Be. Is that what he was doing with that? Like just making?
I think
Black
so.
Terror,
Yeah.
Like
because he was an old like character, so they basically took the Terror and he like made him a geriatric. You know what I mean?
That could be. That could.
I think I might be mistaken on that one, but
like what if the 1930s canon was in the 1930s and it's today? And
right. I remember that. Like he was forgetting stuff and he couldn't walk, or he didn't have a cane or something. I think
like
in the
that,
comic. No, it's interesting about the. So Johnny, with your book, like Sartana, you said that's a loose copyright. So like,
it's kind of like the same thing that Scott was saying. It's kind of orphaned. So it's really, it's nobody's really got anything going with Sartana right now. So there's no ownership of it. So you could make your own version of it the same way again, like Quentin made Django, and just made it his own, I did the same thing for Sartana, because really I just wanted to play in the spaghetti western sandbox.
Okay.
And I really love the look of that character. He looked very much like a superhero. If you look at the old movies, he had this half cape with a red lining, and he was very James Bondy and had like all sorts of little gadgets and things. And that's kind of what attracted me to the character. And I was like, I want to do this. So that's kind of.
There was an Italian western, spaghetti western I saw once. I forget the name of it, but I like that dude. He used to carry a coffin around. Do you know what?
That's Django.
Is that Django? Okay,
that's Django. Yeah, he used to drag a coffin behind him. Yep,
and then throw people in there and stuff like that. So that was Django. Okay,
Sartana had a really cool bit where he came into town playing a piano, and then the piano turned into like a Gatling gun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was real cool. So there's like a lot of things. He had a musical pocket watch that, like, if you heard the pocket watch, you knew that death was coming. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Yeah. Little neat things like that.
Write stuff like write that character.
Right.
Continuing adventures. Harry said the hard-on boys might be too risky.